Hi everyone. I'm drinking coffee today, so it's gonna be a good day. I took probably a month and a half off of caffeine just to see how it was. And now I've gone into this cycle of probably having caffeine like once or twice a week. This is random information. That's not why you clicked on this video. Today we're going to be talking about hacking language in order to hack your life. Because if you can hack your language, then you can effectively create a new reality for yourself. I also wanted to talk about how to create affirmations that work for you. I'm not going by a script at all. Hello everyone, hi, welcome in. I don't have a script, I have nothing written down for this, so let's just see what I say and we'll just roll with it. I've tried recording. Oh, I'm wearing a bandeau, by the way. I have on clothes. Oh, hi guys. Understood. So I have been trying to record a video. I tried recording yesterday and on Friday, and then today. Circumstances have just been like, we don't care. So I have just decided to go live because I still want to talk about what I want to talk about. And I don't want to feel like I'm disempowered by the camera and electronics. Let's just say that. Plus, there's been like all of this morning, there's been planes just, I'm like, where do I live at the airport right now? They've just been hovering over my house today. I'm like, what is going on? So we're here. This is where we're at today. We're talking about how to hack language. Okay. I also tried making a short. So let me just cover everything that I have in my mind because I have some thoughts. And again, I'm drinking coffee, so it's gonna be one of those days. I have been thinking about, I've been reviewing comments from my channel, and then I've also been taking notes on like things that I could talk about and things that I think would be of value to anybody who's willing to hear and is in the vicinity to hear it. When we are creating a new reality for ourselves, we want to create a story that is downstream. And Abraham Hicks is known for talking about this downstream effect. You can go upstream and then you can go downstream. Depending on where you are vibrationally, this is going to indicate the affirmations that you can tolerate physically, mentally, spiritually, and the affirmations that are just, they're not helping you, they're not benefiting you. This is going to, I'm also going to cover a lot of self-concept in this video because self-concept is very important when we create affirmations for ourselves. But I wanted to start here because when we create affirmations are words. They're also thoughts, and beliefs are thoughts that you continue to think. So if we are constantly repeating a thought in our mind, it will eventually prove itself to be true. And whatever we assume to be true, that's going to be outpictured into our reality. Now, what's really fun about this is you can create a story for yourself. And if that story feels great for you, then you will create more and more of that momentum. I was sitting back the other day thinking, I'm like, okay, because I received a comment and the person was like, I'm so exhausted. I feel like it's taking a while for my manifestations. And I'm like, where does this exhaustion come from? And that led me on this path to really self-reflect. During the times that I've manifested the most, gotten what I wanted, have been very at ease in flow state, I've never really told myself a story that made me feel exhausted. So, in other words, if you are feeling exhausted about your manifestation, then that typically means that the thoughts that you were thinking and the story that's on replay right now is not allowing you to flow with the current that is automatically within you. So for example, if it's wanting to manifest a specific person and you're telling yourself that this person adores you, that they're obsessed with you, that they want to be in a committed relationship with you, but you don't feel that way, honestly, then that means that we need to look at something else. That means that it's not going towards the current that we're thinking that it is, okay? It's leading us into a state of either anxiety or feeling exhausted or X, Y, and Z. How do I know this? Because I did this myself, okay? So I had to switch the affirmations, switch the language to better suit me and my feeling state at that current time. Now, when I built up my self-concept, then I was able to think things and say things to myself like, oh yeah, well, of course they're reaching out to me. Of course it's normal for me to want, a committed and healthy relationship. Then it becomes much easier when your self-confidence is on board, when your self-concept is on board. And going back to language, there are some things that are not easily expressed through language. And there are a lot of meanings, okay? We assign meaning to the words that we're speaking. If I were to speak to you in Italian right now and you don't know Italian, then it means nothing to you. Okay, so language is one of the most powerful things that we have in human existence. It allows us to be connected, it allows us to understand things and create meaning from them, which then gives us emotion. So if I am talking to you, again, going back to Italian, and I say something to you and you have no idea what that means, then you can just assume whatever you want to assume, create meaning for yourself, and interpret it in a positive or negative way. Same thing with language. If you're affirming, let's say, my business is booming, that does not imply that your business is actually booming. We know that it's a metaphor. This is a silly example, I know, but you can affirm something like that, my business is booming, and receive that mental image that is constructed, the meaning that is implied when you say that affirmation. Okay? This is big stuff because it'll help you get the things that you want. Now, when crafting an affirmation that is in alignment with what you desire, it's important to do the following. Have willingness, okay, that childlike attitude, suspending your disbelief for just a moment, and then also being gentle with yourself, being compassionate. Because one thing that I've noticed is if you don't make peace with your circumstances now, then it feels icky. That's like the best word that I can think of. It feels icky if you're trying to get from point A to Z. It does not feel like you're getting anywhere. It doesn't feel like you're flowing. So I would recommend, let's say if you're in a tough spot, you feel exhausted, whatever, you actually don't have to entertain that circumstance. You can focus in on something else that is actually working out for you and still attract what you want to experience. This is also a big reason why people that attract the love of their life or attract the job, attract the wealth, they're not focused in on it completely and 24/7. They are focused in on a general aspect, especially those that have been dealing with it for a very long time. They're not focusing in on that specific topic. The topic flows to them when they are least expecting it and least worried about it. Okay, so that's the path of least resistance, is when they are just focusing in on themselves, enjoying their life, and then they're able to just receive all of those things that are happening to them naturally. Another thing that I was thinking of the other day, and I don't know if I'm going to leave this live up because I just don't know, but another thing that I was thinking of the other day is we receive, whether it's positive or negative, let's use negative. We receive negative circumstances in our life and we're not specifically thinking of manifesting that. Like, there's never been a point in my life where I said that I wanted a negative circumstance to happen to me. Or like it's a general view that I have of my life. So whenever I'm like, okay, I'm having a bad day, or it's just not working out for me, then all of those circumstances that reflect that umbrella affirmation, that's what's being reflected. So if you aren't a part of the newsletter, then I would highly encourage that. Go to athena369.com. Last week, I sent out an email and I was like, Could it really be as simple as assuming everything is working out for you? Could it really be as simple as that? Assuming that things go in your favor, that life is rigged in your favor, that you are fully supported and loved, and then having all of those circumstances reflect that general belief. Like, and then something else that I noticed is that when I'm trying, the more things that I try to juggle, the more I drop the ball. It's like I can only handle but so many things. So there has to be this point, especially when you become a professional, as I like to say, when you're no longer, you're not an amateur, like you know how manifesting works, you understand that you create your own reality. When you become advanced in this stuff and are consciously creating and knowing your things into existence, you don't want to focus on things so specifically because you're in control and you know that getting out of the way is the best way to allow that flow through you. I trust that this makes sense. When you have a general affirmation that allows you to make peace with your current circumstances, then it is naturally attracting magnetically all the things that belong to you, and it's repelling all of the things that don't belong to you. All the things that are not supposed to be for you are trying to leave you, but you're chasing them down, right? With whatever general thoughts you have. And then whatever is trying to get to you is trying. It's like trying to chase you down, and it's just tweaking. It's just like a quick tweak and shift on what we are thinking and saying in our head, that story that we have on repeat. So I hope that this has been helpful. I feel that fears trigger those negative manifestations. Okay, and that's a really good point. So something that I like to tell myself, which again is a story, it's like this story that we have on repeat about ourselves and then how we view the world. This idea that, so this is what I ask myself. I ask myself, what does God have to say about this situation? Right here and right now, what does God have to say about me, and what does God have to say about this situation? And of course you can use the word source, infinite intelligence, whatever is your preference. But I ask myself this question, and it automatically points me in the direction of my ideal version, because the ideal version of yourself doesn't have fear. There is no fear in divine mind, no loss, no separation. All of these things are created through these false beliefs, and false beliefs have to work harder. They have to work harder to sustain themselves, which is why I keep thinking, going general and just saying that everything is working out for me and that life is rigged in my favor, and that whatever aspect of life I want to change in, I can change at any moment, and then slowly and surely building on that momentum on the topic is the best way to go, because it's like, it's so much easier. It's so much easier. And the more fear you have towards a subject means that you're closer to identifying the false belief. That's another perspective. That's actually something that Bashar says. The closer that you get to understanding that this belief doesn't make sense, why is this belief in my life, the more fear you're going to have towards facing it. So fear isn't a bad thing. These emotions that we're experiencing aren't a bad thing, because they're indicators. They're letting us know what is allowing us to move into the path that we want to experience. So, going back to creating an affirmation that works for you. Okay, if I was a version of myself, if I was my ideal self, how would I think? How would I think? What are the thoughts that I would be entertaining? Because we do have intrusive thoughts, we do have intrusive emotions, but emotions pass very quickly. It's only what we hold on to. So emotions such like anger and all that stuff, those only last for a couple of seconds. The only thing that's sustaining those emotions is thought forms and the energy that we choose to give it. We choose to entertain these things. Same things with our thoughts. We can entertain our thoughts and give that more momentum as well. So I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, how do I create an environment where I'm only seeing perfection? And the thought immediately, the solution came to me immediately, which was to get out of the way. To get out of the way. So what does it look like to get out of my own way? It means stop beating myself up. It means you're doing a good job. It means connecting to that heart space and recognizing that it's all right. I am where I am, and that's enough. I am who I am, and that's enough. I don't have to get it all done today. I can try again another day. I can start where I'm at right now, and then work on it. And that's another thing. So I've been reading Atomic Habits and how habits are formed. There's 4 different ways. Well, there's 4 laws of behavior change. So let me think if I can remember them. So you make it obvious, you make it attractive, you make it easy, and you make it satisfying. I'll go over it. You make it obvious, so you make it visually obvious. You put it in plain sight. That's how you change a habit. You make it attractive. You make it something that's appealing, that you want to do, something that sounds fun. You make it easy, so you're not doing it 24/7. Oh, thank you guys. You're not doing it all the time. And then, or maybe you are doing it all the time, but it's easy for you to do. And then you make it satisfying. It's something that brings this emotion of peace, of satisfaction, contentment. So those are the 4 laws of behavior change. If you're wanting to change a habit and you're wanting to create a new affirmation for yourself that suits the version of yourself that you prefer to be, it's going to contain all 4 of those components. And that does require a shift in mindset. So what I've noticed often, and you'll notice that on this channel, I have not once created a video where I say, manifest in 24 hours, you'll get what you want in 24 hours, guaranteed, because vibration, energetically, okay, it's attracting a certain type of person to watch my videos, and that's not what I attend. Usually people that are desperately wanting to attract things within 24 hours are further away from their manifestations because they're not making peace with where they are at, and it creates a lot of resistance. So the second thing is that when you are looking at something in the perspective of time frame, it's allowing you to work within the confines of your conscious mind. And again, God doesn't operate off of time, space, obstacles, competition, separation, loss, fear, all of these things. So God doesn't operate with time. I mean, it could be a split second where you change your reality just based off of tweaking your emotional state. I hope that this is making sense. You can just shift into a new state by telling yourself a new story that is in alignment with the peace that you are wanting to feel. Okay, going back to the habits. So there's the 4 laws, and if you're wanting to change a habit, you're wanting to change an affirmation, you're wanting to fall in love with this new routine, then that's going to require those 4 components. And let's use an example. So somebody give me an example. I don't know. Like, what is something that you guys are trying to manifest? And I'll try to think of something that I'm wanting to manifest. More friends. I love that. So more friends would be associated to feeling connected and feeling like you belong. Okay, if you're wanting to, so see how I did that? Okay, this is something that I automatically do, and especially when I'm doing one-on-one coaching with you guys, I feel like I automatically get there. So let me just explain the process that I did. So if it's friends, if it's health, if it's wealth, it's it's associated to a fundamental general aspect of life that you're wanting to change. For example, friends. If you're wanting to attract friends that are like-minded, that get you, that support you, that love you, that is a desire of feeling connected, which is a birthright of yours. You deserve to feel connected. Okay, so when you decide, okay, I want to feel connected, I want to feel supported, and I want to feel like I belong, then you tap into that energy by creating affirmations, and you can start off general. It sometimes, you can write the list and you can become specific, but you actually can manifest the things that you want by the releasing the desire for it. Meaning, you can tell yourself, I cast this burden on the Christ that lives within me, and I go forth to experience the connection that I know I'm worthy and deserving of. That's an affirmation right there. Getting out of your own way, releasing that resistance. And you can repeat that over and over again and feel it in your body until that no longer is this longing, this desire. Because again, actually, I have the book with me. I think the way that James Clear puts it is beautiful. It's beautifully written, and he talks about desire and expectation, which I'll answer some more questions, and then I'll bring out the book, because what he says about desire is it's really interesting. The more desire that we have towards something is creating, it's like kind of like a gap, right? So we have these gaps of where we're at and then where we want to be. And this desire, however strongly we feel towards the desire, is indicating the measurement of gap we have in association to that topic. If I really, 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 really want that job, then that means that my desire and the gap that I have created towards getting that thing is, the measurement is much stronger. It's a wider gap, as opposed to, it's very natural to get a job. It's very easy for me to be employed. It's very easy for me to have a job that is fulfilling. Completely different energy, right? Like, you can feel it. It's a very, very different feeling. So telling yourself a story that is in alignment with, you know what? I'm okay. I am where I am, and that is enough. Starting off general, right? And then building the momentum. And that's why, earlier on in the live, I brought up Abraham Hicks, because I was listening to Abraham this morning and I was like, that makes sense. It really does make sense. You can change your relationship with something at any moment. And I will also tell you guys something that is really helpful. You can take a journal, you take out whatever piece of paper, journal, whatever you have, and you can write down all of your limiting beliefs on one side. You can create 2 columns. You can write down every negative thought that you have towards a subject. And then on the other side, you can believably, something that your emotional system, like, you can feel resistance, okay? You can feel resistance. So you're going to, on the other side, write down things that are better feeling. And that instantly, okay, that doesn't take a lot of time, this instantly changes your vibrational hold on the subject and allows you to receive more of what you're wanting to experience. So going back to friends, if we're wanting to manifest more friends, we may have limiting beliefs like, nobody understands me, nobody gets me, it's hard to make friends, I feel socially awkward, whatever the beliefs are. Okay, you can write all that stuff down, address it. You don't need to suppress anything. If you cry during this process, okay, that's just you releasing emotion, okay? And you're just going to write down those beliefs. Then on the other column, okay, then you're going to create and establish new thought forms that you can get behind. Actually, okay, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't supposed to experience connection. There is definitely somebody that I can be attracted to. I'm finding people that I have resonance with all the time. I can relate to others, so other people can relate to me. what I'm asking for wouldn't even be possible unless there was a supply for it. Oh, and another thing. I was thinking about this the other day, which I will make a formal video on. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, okay, so when God created the heavens and the earth, he did all this stuff before creating humans. This was last. Like humans, the number that represents humans is 6. Okay, so 6 is the number of the humans. On the 7th day, that's when God rested, the Sabbath day. On all of the other 5 days, he was creating and supplying. So that means that supply precedes demand. Okay, the humans were placed before. Okay, so, after. So the humans plopped down on earth with everything that they needed already. It wasn't the cart before the horse. You get what I'm saying? So if you have something in your mind and you're desiring it, you have the desire because the supply is there. Before you call, he answers. Okay? Ask, believe, and you receive. Yes, absolutely. But before you even have the desire, before that's even placed in your heart, you can't even fathom it. You can't even imagine it unless there is supply. That's just so great. That's so great. That means that anything that you think of is already in existence. Already. Like from the nature, from the fundamentals of hearing about the story of Adam and Eve and all this stuff. All of the land was created. The garden was already, all of that stuff. It was already provided for. And so yeah, just coming to that perspective and knowing that it's already done. It literally is already done. By the time that you think it, it's already 99.9999999% done. And then it's just your awareness. That's it. Your awareness. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, I want to go to some other things that we're wanting to manifest. If you guys are just joining the chat, then go ahead and comment down below what you're wanting to manifest. So like good health. I feel like there's an order. I have a hair. Cat hair. I feel like there's an order of things that we prioritize, like the things that we want to receive first, or like if we don't have this, then we cannot, like we can't even desire other things. So the order is health, then wealth, aka prosperity, and then relationships, love, all that connection. If you are in bad shape, if you are not healthy, then I encourage you to think of times when you've been sick. It's like you can't even do anything, right? So health is like the main thing, which self-concept, that is the main thing. And then health and then wealth, that's the second thing. We can't really function in society. We can't do a lot of things that we want to do if we don't have financial support or feeling like we are living abundantly. So the ability to do what we want to do or need to do in the time that we would like to do it, that would also be related to abundance. And then also the love portion, right? So that's like, okay, it doesn't mean that it's not important, but it does mean that like, okay, if we don't have health, if we don't have wealth, then it's like, it's very hard to accept like love into our life, right? It doesn't mean that it's impossible. There are people that are sick. There are people that are, you know, that aren't flourishing and they're still able to keep a relationship or keep, you know, whatever. But usually the relationship is reflecting their inner being. So it doesn't tend to be the healthiest, especially when all those other things are out of order. So hi Mike, good to hear from you. And I'll get to, I'm going to scroll up and stuff. But, yeah, when you are wanting to manifest those things, like let's say health, going to a strong self-concept. So this is how I perceive things. Health is the self-concept of who you are. Usually when you know who you are, then you can bless food. You can bless food, you can bless money, you can bless all those things, but you can bless the food that you have in your life, you can bless your body, you can bless the things that you're doing, you can exercise, you can do a lot of things that are in alignment to what it looks like to be healthy. And so yeah, I would boil it down to, okay, what does health represent to me? Well, health represents that freedom. Health represents joy. Okay, it represents having a blissful life. You cannot, like, you're just not happy when you're sick. Okay, I've never met anyone who has been happy sick. So it's about tapping into that vibration of joy and happiness and comfortability, satisfaction in their body. So I would create affirmations that are in alignment with that. So something like, I wouldn't be here. God would not have me on this earth if I was not supposed to experience health. Okay. This is very true. This is your truth. Okay. It is your birthright to be healthy. So saying things like that. Also, another thing that helps release resistance is knowing that your body is responding to how you are feeling emotionally. So taking the next, I'm going to use Bashar's principle, taking the next passionate / exciting step to the best of your ability till you can take it no further. Doing that process of, okay, well, maybe I can't do this right now, but what can I do? What do I have control over? That's what I'm going to focus on. And I'm going to keep repeating this process, because once you keep repeating the process, then you're creating momentum and you're establishing momentum. Look, this, I truly feel like this live will help you. I mean, you can self diagnose and you can self-soothe. There are sometimes, though, there are exceptions where I do believe that having a third party, a third view, because sometimes we can get really in the thick of things, we can tend to not really see what level we're at, or like what is holding us from getting our manifestation. But for the most part, if you are finding affirmations that release resistance, you can definitely self-soothe and get what you want. Oh, this is a good question. Hey, Brianna, how to cope with being impatient? As in, when you think why it's not happening, or when will it happen? This is a great question. I have 2 solutions to this. So let me take a sip. Okay. Florence Scovelson, she writes that fear and impatience demagnetize, poise magnetizes. So let's look at ourselves like a magnet. When we look at ourselves like an antenna, like a force that is attracting things, then we are able to recognize that, oh, the good things that I want to experience actually will find me. I don't have to chase anything down. They'll find me. And when we start talking about patience, impatience, that means that our expectation of the manifestation, we are putting awareness on not having it rather than experiencing it. Poise magnetizes. Impatience and fear, all of those other things, but specifically impatience demagnetizes, because it's allowing you to focus on, it's allowing you to observe something that isn't happening. So anything that we are putting, the way that the law of attraction works is that what you are focusing on is attracting no matter what, right? There's no, everything is inclusion, is what I'm trying to say. If I tell you to not think of a blue elephant, that is still attracting the imaginal act of a blue elephant. There's no such thing as excluding, there's only inclusion. And the higher that you rise in vibration, the more that you will include things. This is why also a lot of times when you rise in vibration, you will be aware of many things in life. It's not that your life just becomes this like you become immune, or like you become, actually immune is the best word to describe it, but it's not like you can't see other perspectives of life. You know that those things are happening, but it's just how they are affecting you internally. So for example, health, right? People don't look at health as something that they need to exchange to other people. If you get sick, or let's say you're healthy and you see somebody else that's sick, you don't think to yourself, oh, let me become sick so that I can help them become healthy. Okay, so using this as a perspective, and this is all areas of life. When you are attracting something or you're trying to become patient, that is, okay, so impatience. Let's talk about impatience. I want to use a negative reflection because I think that'll be better. If you are wanting a manifestation and you feel impatient about it, then that means that there's this expectation and there is this observation of you not receiving it. So what would I recommend? I would recommend becoming poised, saying affirmations like, I am poised. I know that things happen in their right timing. I am divine timing. And I manifest quickly and easily. So having affirmations like that. Now, there's also something else that you can do. So let me just gather my thoughts on that. Because impatience is also an indicator that we are going against the current, going against the flow. So if I want to be in flow state, then things are happening for me rapidly. I'm now looking at the time, it's been over 35 minutes, and I have been completely unaware of how much time has gone by. Like whenever I'm doing these lives, it feels like 2 minutes has gone by when I look back on the lives and it's been over an hour. This is the flow state. Whatever you are putting your attention on and enjoying and experiencing with passion, that is your flow state. When you are in your flow state, when you are present, that is when you are allowing more presence. See what I did there? You're allowing more presence into your experience. You don't actually have to focus on the thing itself in order to manifest it. And I'm going to stand by this. I'm actually going to stand by this. You don't have to focus in on that specific thing in order to manifest it. It's like, we know this to be true. We know that the story goes, oh, I found love when I least expected it. Oh, I found wealth when I was doing my own thing and I knew what to do with money. I was feeling good about money, and then it just happened. Okay? It's not by coincidence. You are in a feeling state that is aligned to you receiving that desire in a general way. Okay? You're not specifically waking up and asking for specifically negative things to happen to you. So if you generalize that negativity and you say, oh, okay, well, it's just going to be a bad day, then there's going to be experiences that reflect that. If you decide, hey, I'm impatient, then you are going to manifest experiences that reflect your impatience. But the way that you can solve this is to become very present. Become present and do things that give you joy. And it really is as simple as that. I love talking about this stuff. And then there's times where I'm like, how else can I say this differently? Because if I just say it in one sentence, which is make a decision and line up to that decision to the best of your ability and have fun, it's too simple. It's too simple. So I try to think of ways to create this story, because people love stories. We inherently, we gravitate towards stories that make sense to us and that cause us to resonate, and then apply it in our own way. Impatience is something that you can overcome. It's very easy to overcome it, but it takes the observation of knowing that, one, I am being impatient, and then two, knowing that I can become patient by focusing in on things that I actually enjoy doing. Because, okay, so for example, there was this time where I was manifesting so much that I started to self-sabotage. And I'll explain. I read Rhonda Byrne's book, Something Magic. It's basically a book on gratitude. and it's a book on being thankful. So I implemented this practice. It's like a 30-day process, and you write a gratitude list and you become really, really present. You stay very present in the moment and you're focusing in on things that you do have. During this time, I manifested a new job. Oh, and I was reading Neville Goddard. So I was reading both of those books. I manifested a new job. I manifested getting accepted into the Stanford online program that I've talked about here on this channel. I manifested that program. It was like, I think that program's like $7,000 or $8,000. Manifested it, tuition paid for, free, okay? I manifested multiple specific people, okay, period. And during that time, like everything was happening all at once, not because I was focused. I wasn't sitting there ruminating on, are they going to reach out? Am I going to get the acceptance letter? Am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? No, I just knew what I wanted, reminded myself how this all works. I wouldn't even have the desire if I wasn't capable of achieving it. And then it was like, I was so present that everything was happening quicker than, like, it was making my head spin. And I ended up self-sabotaging. But I'm explaining this experience because it really is as simple as remaining in the present moment and focusing in on what you do have. That creates momentum. This momentum, this force is like wild. So let's say you are like negatively focused and you're wanting to switch the energy. This is how you can switch the energy. You can start off small, okay? Start off small. Go slow to speed up. So take your time. Have you ever noticed that? Very successful people, they operate pretty smoothly. Like they're not in a rush. They're not trying to get somewhere. They're just like, they're just grounded. They're doing things in the moment. So this is what you can do. You can start slow to speed up. You're going to, let's say you're wanting to be more aware of having friends. Let's go back to the friends thing. You can start by focusing in on the friends that you already have or the relationships that you have that you enjoy, and you can start observing them and being more aware of them and noticing that you have connection, like you do belong, you have people that relate to you. And by just starting there, that small step of just tweaking, that small tweak will allow momentum to start building. This is how the law of attraction works, right? So when we start talking about the law of attraction and the law of magnetism, it's not something that you can force. This isn't something that you force. It's literally, it's already done. So it's just tweaking your magnetic field to attract the things that are already in your existence, that are already occurring right here and right now. Guys, I think you said something. Amazing questions, answers. Can you leave this live up? No pressure. Yeah, I'll leave this live up. Yeah, I decided. I'll leave this up for you guys. Yeah, so Ryan, I'm reading stuff now, but I should read it aloud for you guys. I would say it's also important to ask our friends and family for advice. They can help give us a new perspective or help us make decisions. Yes, you can manifest. People are great sources of wisdom, of signs. My parents are so full of wisdom. Like, I love them so much. And it's all about your perspective, because let's say I've heard things all the time about, okay, you know what? My head is like going 1,000 miles a minute right now. There's this one story that I want to tell you guys, and it's about friends and like friendships, how I was wanting to manifest new friends. And the only way that I did that was not by focusing in on how bad my friends were. That makes sense? So there's a lot that goes around. I've seen videos like this where they say your 5 closest friends or your 5 closest relationships are a reflection of you. They're a reflection of who you are. And then people, they become kind of fearful because, oh, well, these people, like, I just don't want to associate with them anymore, or like these people, I don't know. There's like this there let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Just put a 1 in the comments. There's like this idea that we, like, if we're wanting to get somewhere, then we need to leave the people that we are currently with, and like like in order to raise my vibration, I need to get out of this environment. So here's the thing with this vibration. Okay, thank you, Claudia. At least I'm not alone in this. So with this type of thinking, it's actually causing more resistance than you would think, because it's making you feel like what you're doing isn't good enough. Like where your current circumstance is not serving you. Everything in life is serving you. There's not one thing that is a mistake. God doesn't make mistakes. Everything is perfection, everything is completion. So if you are having this mindset that like people don't understand you and that these people need to go away so that you can attract better people, what are you actually attracting? You're attracting a reflection of people that will come into your life that reflect your mindset. Meaning, you will attract in people that think, my friends, like, these friends are not good for me. I need to get better friends. You will literally see that reflected in your life. It's very, very interesting. So something that I did when I was wanting to attract new friends into my life is I simply asked God. I said, God, please show me, instead of focusing in on the negative influences that were in my life, wish them well. I mean, they've been teaching you what you don't want. This is an ongoing process. So instead of being like having resentment or feeling like you need to have a better set of friends, or like that you need to change because you're like, it can allow you to feel almost the ego gets involved. Let's just say that. Instead of doing that, then you simply ask God to place the friends in your life that align with you, that align with the version of yourself that you prefer to be. But you can't do that unless you change first. This is how it goes. The only thing to change is self. When I decided that I was going to change and become a different version of myself, I naturally, like, all of the friends that I had, one day they were there, and then the next day they just weren't. They weren't my friends anymore. And they left harmoniously. There's no bad wishes, like my photos on Facebook or Instagram, whatever the case may be. We're all good. Like it was like this seamless transition. And it's the same thing with relationships. It's the same thing with career. It's the same thing with, you don't have to feel as though you need to get somewhere in order to be happy. That's the illusion. You can have the happiness now. You can have the satisfaction now. You can even be in your friend group and appreciate all of the qualities that your friends have. Maybe they're negative, but they're funny. They're funny. So focusing in on the fun or the funny, traits about them can lead you to a new group of friends. And focusing in on that feeling state that you want to enter in, being your ideal self, it's so natural. It all starts from the identification and then it trickles down. I want to answer some questions. Okay, manifesting marriage, that's what we're trying to manifest. Manifesting dream body and lottery. Ooh, lottery. I like that. And a rich husband. Love, love, love. Okay. What else? I appreciate you, guys. You're always financially contributing to this channel. I appreciate you. I really enjoy visualization, but sometimes it happens to me that I visualized intrusive thought enters and interrupts my visualization. It's really annoying. What should I do in such situations? I would allow that to pass. That's happened to me too, and I think it happens for anyone when you become an observer. What's really fun about meditation and visualization is that you're you're receiving ideas, you're receiving flashes of inspiration. And if you receive an intrusive thought, you can observe it as the thought that it is, as the idea that it is, and just let it float by. You don't have to. So there's a misconception, because if we think that we are our thoughts, then we will identify with all the thoughts. That just leads to a lot of confusion, and God's not the author of confusion. If you have a thought that is going through your mind, you don't need to suppress it. You can, or like suppressing emotions, you can just watch the emotion go by. It makes you more powerful when you're able to observe things as the operant power. So I would say just practice, and then if an intrusive thought comes in, you can tap into your heart center and again ask God what they feel about the situation. So like if an intrusive thought comes in, like, you should slap this person, and then I don't know why that popped up, you should slap this person, and then your heart is like, but what do I think about the situation? My heart would, like, my heart is like, girl, you are silly, girl, like, for real, be so for real. And then the thought passes. It's like, you don't, it's like kind of like a dream catcher. You don't have to catch all the thoughts. That is very overwhelming. Can you elaborate on your self-concept video, please? How do you see what you want from the outside within yourself? What if you don't know what it would feel like to be loved or chosen? That's a really good question. So the self-concept video that I made, which I think a lot of you guys resonated with, it was fun making that video. If you are feeling like, okay, I want to experience what it's like to feel chosen and cherished and stuff, so those feelings are innately given to you. It's not about you learning to feel that way, but it is about acknowledging what that looks like to you. So if you've lived life, then there's been examples of you being cherished and adored. It's just how we are filtering reality. So going back to self-concept, if I want to believe that I'm worthy and chosen and loved, I'm going to, in this present moment, I'm going to conjure up experiences of my past. You can use your past, where I felt loved, chosen, and supported. You can also use the present moment. You can say, okay, well, I have many examples in my life right now where I am loved, supported, and cherished. I don't even know you. I don't even know you, and I can list 5 things right now as to how you're supported, loved, and cherished. Your heart is beating. You are breathing. You don't have to think about the oxygen that you're breathing in right now. You don't have to think about the sun. You don't have to think about the moon revolving. We're on a rock right now. We're on a rock, and you are living your life. The law of gravitation is causing you to not float and go into outer space. You are able to choose whatever you want to do. You have freedom, whatever freedom looks like to you. You have the ability to choose whatever thoughts you want to think. That's another one. There are so many, and you don't even need to tie it to other people. You can validate yourself. I'm here on this earth. God doesn't make any mistakes. So of course I'm chosen. Like, of course I'm cherished. Of course. Like, why else? Why else? Wouldn't I be, like, if I wasn't supposed to experience this, do you think God would have me made manifest in this time period on this earth just because it was a mistake? No, that's not how things work. So you can find aspects of your life. I have a bed to sleep on. I'm supported. Even negative things. I don't think that this person is good for me, and I found out that they're not good for me. You are supported by that assumption. I'm so unconditionally supported that I can choose an experience of feeling unsupported. That is agape love that they describe in the Bible. It's unconditional love. So the beauty in understanding your power as the operant power is recognizing that you can change your perspective at any moment. You can change the filter, the lens in which you see life. You know what? This is a perfect example that I want to talk to you guys about. Because back when I was in college, I studied abroad, and there was this saying, okay, and it was, what was it called? The abroad goggles. That's what it's called. It's called the abroad goggles. So I lived in Florence, Italy for a year, and during that time I was able to travel a lot of Europe. And the people that I was living with was probably about, it was a small group, like 40, 45, that was a class of 40 to 45. And there was this saying that people would have the abroad goggles, meaning that the people that were in the class, in that group, they would all pair up. They would all pair up with these people, and they had abroad goggles because they would fall in love with these people just because of the environment. Like, they were experiencing meaningful travel adventures together. They were like, it's a very, very magical experience when you're traveling and you're doing lots of fun things and you're seeing like all of these different things that you've never seen before, and you're able to share it with someone. You like become connected to that person, and then you fall in love with them, right? So people would have these abroad goggles. Now, if you were to use these goggles, these rose-colored glasses and goggles on your life and focus it on a theme, you can create that same type of effect. And just to let you know, abroad goggles works. It works. There's like at least 3 people that from that program got married. Like, they're married to this day. So abroad goggles is you can use this in your life. It's a little trick that you can do. Let's say the theme that you're wanting to experience is bliss, or let's say it's love. You can put on the goggles of love, the perspective of love or bliss, and filter out a reality that is specialized towards that experience. And the more that you practice it, the more the momentum, and then you will be in that reality. Like, next thing you know, it'll be weird, like, oh, I forgot that there was that version of me that experienced that, because you've been so focused in on that filter, in that lens of life. Yeah, it's very fun. It's very fun when you recognize your power to choose the thoughts that you want to think. All right, I think that's all I have to say. Do we have any more questions? Let me see if there's any questions I didn't answer. What to do when inspired action fails? Then the triggers come up. This is after 2 years of manifesting specific person. You know, we're not even at an hour yet. I can ask you questions, and then we can work this out via live. So if you're having, and this will help other people. So if you feel bold, then you can write down in the comments. If you don't feel like you want to answer them, then just let me know in the comments. But the questions that I want to ask you are going to inspire other people too. So what to do when inspired action fails? So it's not actually failing. If you're taking inspired action, then it's leading you to your manifestation. So it's taking score too soon is what you're doing if you feel like something has failed. But if a trigger is coming up, then it's showing you the belief that you want to work on. So after 2 years of manifesting a specific person, I want to ask you some questions. What do you assume about this specific person right now? So I want you to leave that in the comments of what you believe, what you are assuming about this specific person right now, and then we can tailor it. I need to grab some water, because today I've been drinking coffee, and yeah, I'm just kind of gassed up. Also, I have some fun books that I want to talk about in these upcoming videos. Mm. And again, when we are putting time on things, then that means that we're usually not coming from a poised perspective, such as, so affirmations that would align with a poised mindset would be, everything is always working out for me when it needs to happen. Sorry, hold on. 2 years of math. Time is relevant to God. God does not operate off of time. I can experience what I want to experience right here, right now, in this moment. I take inspired action quickly and accurately. So, okay, going back to you, Brandy. I assumed he ghosted me and doesn't want to talk to me after a falling out. I did flip the belief, but it's still lingering now. So the only reason, okay, so that's another misconception. If we have flipped a belief, then it's kind of like a switch. When you switch a light, it stays in its place until you switch it back. So if you decided that you are going back to your old ways of believing, that's the first thing that we need to become aware of, is that we are consciously going back to a belief. And now we have to ask ourselves, why? Why are we holding on to that belief? There's still something in there that we need to address. There's still something in there. So if you're going back to the old assumption, the old story, there's a reason for that. Usually it's because the belief is trying to protect you from something. There's not a belief that we have in our life that is there for any other purpose other than to protect you. If you experience something and it was like really uncomfortable, then your body is storing that, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, your body is storing that. And then it's allowing you to keep thoughts. Because if you think about this, trauma doesn't need to happen over and over again. You can experience trauma once and then it's stored in the body, right? And then we've just latched onto it. We hold on to it real tight. So what exactly is that belief causing you to feel and causing you to hold on to? Going back to the assumption, because it just went away. So I assume he ghosted me. That usually has to do with worthiness, and he doesn't want to talk to me after a falling out. Okay, so forgiveness too. I did flip the belief, but it's still lingering now. Okay. This is going to be a practice, so I don't want you to beat yourself up on this. But usually if it's been 2 years, then that means that there is an automatic thought process that we are contributing to. We have stayed in that thought form for over 2 years. So if you're wanting to change that, then we look at, okay, they ghosted you, right? You assume that they ghosted you. Why did you feel like they would ghost you? Why do you feel like it's not normal for you to receive consistency? So addressing consistency, usually if somebody ghosts you, then that means like, oh, I'm unwanted, I'm not enough, or one of those core beliefs. So now you flip it, but you flip it in a way that's going to release that feeling. Something that helps me, like if I'm trying to get over resentment or anger or fear, is by casting the burden and allowing myself to go free. Florence Golshin, she's my favorite. Her affirmations, she put her foot in it. She just put her foot in it. One of the affirmations on releasing resistance is, I cast this burden on the Christ that lives within, and I go free to experience harmony or freedom. I go forth to experience joy. I cast this burden on the Christ that lives within. The things that you can't control, okay, those are the things that you should release. If you know that you cannot control it, then don't try to control it. Do what you can't control, what you can control, which is your state. You can't control somebody else, but when you control yourself, then that brings in the versions of people that reflect your state. That's why self-concept is very important. So if you're feeling triggered, that means that we're not addressing a self-concept that is important for us to address. You most certainly are deserving of a committed, consistent communication and or relationship. So it's getting yourself to believe that by telling yourself things like, I am worthy, I am capable, I am able to experience the things that I want to experience just by the fact alone that I exist. Because I exist, that means I am deserving. I'm deserving to experience what I want. What's really interesting is that when you build your self-concept up, you can experience the same circumstance and it won't even trigger you. Like, it won't trigger you the way that it used to in the past. You can see this. I invite you to think of experiences in your life where you have changed so much and something happens like that again and it has no emotional effect on you. Like, you could not you could not be bothered. Rahel, same girl. My answer: not prioritized, appreciated, chosen, ghosting occasionally, then coming back and ghosting again. So you have to prioritize yourself. One thing that I like to think about is, this is a question that I'll ask myself: am I worshiping the creation or the creator? This is a really good question. Am I worshiping the creator or the creation? If you are investing and spending and exerting all of this force and energy onto another person, you are worshiping the creation. You created that dynamic in the first place. You manifested that person in the first place. So especially if this is like somebody that you already know, then that means that you can recreate them. And usually if somebody has manifested a change in somebody, that is proof. That is the proof that people change. So you can change them to however you want to see them now. Yeah, correct. Yes, correct. We don't control the how. You don't control the how. So control what you can control, which is yourself. And when you work on your self-concept, then you will naturally let go of things that don't serve you. There was this guy that I had manifested, and I love international. I love international guys. I do. I really do. And okay, there was this guy, and it was like during the time, like I wrote this list, and I was just like, yeah, this is a good one right here. And I feel very, on my journey, I feel very confident about like writing things down and then just letting them go. I'm so specific, and then, but I know as a conscious creator that the more specific I am, the more I need to release. So the more specific I am with something, the more I need to get out of my own way. So I will write a list of exactly what, like, the person that I want to experience or like have a relationship with, and then I let it go. I let it go, and then I become very general, knowing that it is done. I'm the opera in power. I can be this and that. I'm gonna go and have some coffee and enjoy myself and have a routine for myself. And they end up manifesting. So this guy, he manifested, and he was like really awesome. And then I experienced ghosting. He messaged me, and then I messaged back, and then he didn't respond to me. Now, was there really anything to say back to me? No, but I felt rejected because I'm like, why aren't you obsessed with me? Okay, so I was like, you should be like all up in my DMs. But when I started working on my self-concept, and I was like, okay, this is actually silly. It was silly. I was like, I'm gonna work on my self-concept and just tell myself that I am amazing, and I'm just going to prioritize myself. Like, who doesn't want to be with somebody who is fun and prioritizes themselves and can spread all that joy onto them? Like, my cup is overflowing because I'm so happy. People don't want to be around miserable people. This is just This is just how life works. So if I work on myself and become the version that I want to experience and call that within me using my imagination, nobody can take your imagination away from you. So if I do that and work on my self-concept and start telling myself what I want to hear, like, yeah, I'm going to have inner conversations of them telling me how great I am. As soon as I started working on my self-concept, what a coincidence. They reached out to me. They contacted me. It's so simple. If you work on yourself and become the version that you want to experience, that you prefer to be, then you will become a magnet. You attract those situations to reflect you. Another thing, like, it'll happen for more than just one person. Like, once you start working on your self-concept, then many people, they can smell it. They can smell it on you. They're like, I want what she has. I want to be around her. I feel like her thoughts are good. She sees the best in me. She sees the best in me. I know, like, I can feel it. Like, I want to be around somebody like that because they are literally magnetic. Like, the thoughts that they have about themselves and how they view other people is so enticing and irresistible. I have to be around it. There you have it, folks. Could you tell us what is your routine while manifesting something? It varies. It varies. I don't have like I have my core, which is scripting, which is also visualization. You guys know, if you've seen any of my past videos, you guys know how much I love visualization because I am receiving. I'm becoming a signal, and God is just flowing these ideas to me. So I like, right before going to bed, I like just quieting my mind and then allowing myself to experience wonderful things. Usually you can tap into that by like repeating an emotion over and over again and then feeling that as much as you can to the best of your ability. It doesn't need to be perfect. So for example, ecstasy. Ecstasy is a very high emotion and it's also very fast. So again, if you can't feel ecstasy for like 3 minutes, that's okay. But if you feel it for like a couple seconds or like half a second, that's good because you're going to outpress that type of emotion that is being evoked by you. I also wanted to talk about theater because I feel like a lot of actors don't get credit for this, but I did want to explain something because when I was in LA and I was doing commercials and doing all that stuff, I realized that yes, the subconscious mind does not know the difference, and this is why we see when people do rom-coms, when people are even villains, they get really engrossed in these characters and then they end up like taking on that version. Like they have to, some of these actors, a lot of these actors have to go through therapy and like get back to who they are, because some of them, depending on the technique that you use, there's like various techniques that you can use for acting, but like especially with something like method acting where you are that person and you are that character all day 24/7. I didn't do that. I never engaged in that type of technique, but this is why you see like, oh, that rom-com was so good, like I would love for those people to be together, and they're together in real life because their chemistry, like you can't fake chemistry. Energy does not lie. People know this. Like you can't fake that stuff, and the subconscious mind does not know any difference. So you end up just being a vessel for that character, that identity. You end up taking it on. So yeah, I definitely appreciate the people that they are essentially just giving up their lives to play a character. And usually by the time that they play that character, that means that they're in alignment with it already. They have to be believable. That's what makes an actor good. Good actors are believable. So they have to convince themselves, and they use their subconscious mind. It's just like when you're a child, you have that childlike imagination, and you know, you can be anything when you're a child. You you don't hold on to things like, well, you do hold on to programming, but you, like for the sake of like resentment and all that stuff, you let things go. And it's not that you don't experience the emotion, like you'll let it pass through you, but it doesn't stay there for long. It's best to keep positive affirmations short and sweet so you lose focus on the words itself and more on the feeling of it. Yeah, so Neville Goddard's Isn't It Wonderful technique, that's a really good one, where right before you go to bed, you become still, you close your eyes, and then you just start repeating, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? You could say this like a lullaby, and then very wonderful things will happen for you. It's very fun. I remember I did Isn't It Wonderful, the technique, and I had specifically written down in my list that I wanted to manifest, a free coffee. And so I had this list of like things that I wanted to see happen in my world. And I went to bed, I did Isn't It Wonderful, and then I woke up the next day and I was going to get coffee, whatever. I was going through drive-through during this time, and the person in front of me, the circumstance was crazy. The person in front of me had a gift card and their computer was glitching and they couldn't get the gift card balance off. So they told the person that was paying for it, they said, sorry, the computer isn't working, like we can't get the gift card balance to leave. And so he said, that's fine, just pay for the next person. I'll sip to that. I'll sip to that. Okay. You just mentioned peak states like ecstasy. This morning I did Wim Hof. I didn't even read the rest of it. Hold on. This morning I did Wim Hof for the first time in a long time. And during the breath holds and recovery breaths, I did imaginal scenes with SP. Okay, how did that go for you? And it was so intense, so real. But an hour later, my state was sinking. I feel like that's gotta count for something though. When you say that your state was sinking, does that mean that you weren't feeling good? Wim Hof is so good. I'm feeling good about my life right now, but also still have a lot of things that I have to manifest. It's a weird state to be in where I'm kind of happy and proud of myself, even though everything hasn't happened. That's a good spot to be in. That's a good spot. That's really like, I would say that's the optimal space to be in. Oh, let me grab the book, like I said I was going to do. Okay. Oh, this is funny. I just landed on this page and I'll highlight like the stuff that just needs to be highlighted. He says, okay, so this is Atomic Habits by James Clear. He says, professionals take action even when the mood isn't right. He's talking about in this paragraph, he's talking about people exercising. So usually, a lot of times we ask what comes first, the thought or the emotion. And from the research that I've gathered and from reading Neville, I would say that it's both. It's either or. So you don't feel like going to the gym, but you know that it's something that is going to get you your goal, or you know that it's something that's going to make you feel better. So then you end up taking the action. And he talks about how, I'll just say what he says. Professionals stick to the schedule. Amateurs let life, aka circumstances, get in the way. Professionals know what is important to them and work toward it with purpose. Amateurs get pulled off course by the urgencies of life. So if something isn't, this is why I'm always talking about emotion, because if something is not important enough to you, then it's very easy for you to get sidetracked. But if something is important to you, then let's get it done. Like, we're gonna find a way. It's just as simple as that. and it's about telling yourself that story. But let me go to what I was trying to get to. Oh, actually, this is another thing that I highlighted. Let me just, I mean, I'm not trying to read you everything that I highlighted, but this is also, this is in alignment. Okay. So, this is one reason why we continually grasp for the latest get rich quick or weight loss scheme. New plans offer hope because we don't have any experiences to ground our expectations. This is big. New strategies seem more appealing than old ones because they can have unbounded hope. As Aristotle noted, youth is easily deceived because it is quick to hope. Perhaps this can be revised to youth is easily deceived because it only hopes. There is no experience to root the expectation in. In the beginning, hope is all you have. All right. So, if you've been doing this for a long time, if you've been consciously creating, then you know that when you want to manifest something, it comes when you least expect it. Why is that? Okay, he is offering, this information that he's offering is gold. He's basically saying that the reason why we are seeking techniques, like people are going from manifestation video to manifestation video, is because they're trying to get a new way of doing things. When in reality, the thing that's going to get you your manifestation is anything that I have told you on this channel. You have everything that you need. It's just about applying it. But people get wrapped up in the novelty of things because it provides them a new sense of hope, a new challenge, something that is exciting. But what he's saying here and what he says throughout the book is that falling in love with boredom is one of the greatest things that you could do for yourself, because what separates the professionals from the amateurs is not that they have some crazy drive to experience something, or they're less lazy than the next person. It's simply because they are doing the thing. They are doing the thing and they're showing up, and they have more stamina than the next person because they have fallen in love with the process. They aren't, for example, they aren't taking too much weight in the negativity. They aren't taking too much weight in the positivity. They're just showing up because that's who they are and that's what they prefer to do. Listen, guys, I love this channel and I love you guys. I love talking to you guys. It has definitely dawned on me, like, okay, if I'm going to do something and I'm going to do it well and I want to become an expert at it, I just enjoy talking about this, then honestly, I don't care. I don't care if there's one person watching it or if there's 5 million people talking about it. I love talking about this stuff. So again, and this is something that Bashar talks about, what you want to do, if this is actually a passion of yours, if this is something that you desire to do and to be in life, then don't focus in on the negative. Don't focus in too much on the positive. There is a balance. Become in love with the process. And this ties into self-concept. It ties into self-concept. When you just focus in on the sake of feeling good for no other purpose other than feeling good for yourself, because you deserve to feel good. That's when things flow to you that reflect that feeling state. It's like you become, it's like the art of becoming unbothered. You genuinely, you're just like, listen, I'm this type of person. This is what I like doing. This is who I am. Who I am is enough. So I digress. I went on a tangent there. Let me, oh my goodness, let me just get to what I'm trying to say. Okay. Okay, I think it's in here. Oh, and then he has like this formula. It's just had it. Habits plus deliberate practice equals mastery. So it is about having this consistency. And even if things seem like they're a 180, this is why people like Neville Goddard and Florence Scovel, they talk about how things will seem chaotic. You cannot have you can't have a clean room without like cleaning it up first. Like you have to get all the junk out of there and then have the chaos for a little bit, or the disorder, and then you clean it up. It's how things work. So let me go to the part where he talks about okay. So if we're looking at what is going to get you your manifestation, emotions will always win. So let's say, for the sake of this video, because we're talking about how to create affirmations for yourself, you're going to want to choose an affirmation that is allowing you, again, to feel like, hey, this is possible for me. This is something that I can do. I can do this. I have the confidence within me to achieve this. And emotions, let's say I have an emotion and it's very strong, or I've repeated this 50,000 times in my head. Which is going to win? The emotion, every single time. Your emotions will drive things home for you. So this is why it's very important to focus in on the feeling state that the affirmation is giving you, and that the meaning that it implies. So in this, he talks about how emotions drive behavior, and he says every decision is an emotional decision at some level. Whatever your logical reasons are for taking action, you only feel compelled to act on them because of emotion. So like there's no such thing as like robotic anything. Like you're taking action, you taking that action is because of your emotion. In fact, people with damage to emotional centers of the brain can list many reasons for taking action, but still will not act because they do not have emotions to drive them. This is why craving comes before response. The feeling comes first, and then the behavior. Okay, and then he also talks about, this is what I'm trying to get to. Okay. Sorry, expectation. Bear with me. Oh, here it is. Yay! Okay. Our expectations determine our satisfaction. The gap between our cravings and our rewards determines how satisfied we feel after taking action. If the mismatch between expectations and outcomes is positive, surprise and delight, then we are more likely to repeat a behavior in the future. If the mismatch is negative, disappointment and frustration, then we are less likely to do so. For example, if you expect to get $10 and you receive $100, you feel great. If you expect to get $100 and get $10, you feel disappointed. Your expectation changes your satisfaction. An average experience preceded by high expectations is a disappointment. An average experience preceded by low expectations is a delight. When liking and wanting are approximately the same, you feel satisfied. This is big. This is so big. Okay. If you're wanting to manifest something, and let's talk about affirmations. This is so exciting. If you are creating a new reality for yourself, you want to do it in an incremental way, and you don't want to go from 0 to 100, okay? It's not even going to feel good. And this is beautifully written by James Clear. If you have this expectation and that expectation is continuously not being met, then you just feel like a failure. You just feel like a failure. So if you have created this expectation of this person is reaching out to me, this person is whatever the case may be, or this job wants me, this you are creating an expectation that your subconscious mind has not been convinced of, right? Depending on where you are vibrationally. So this is why, and even when I'm coaching, like I'm always reading the room, I'm always understanding the vibrational essence that the person is resonating on, because what you say to one person is not how you're going to deliver it to the next. This is just how it works, or at least for somebody that has a job like what I do. I'm constantly assessing the vibration that somebody is at. And again, this isn't to say that you should drop your expectations or feel like, oh, I need to think small, but it's about allowing yourself to feel satisfaction. The more and more that you focus on satisfaction, that's what this whole video should be about, is satisfaction. When you focus in on the feeling of satisfaction, then you come in alignment with things that are satisfying to you, and you're no longer creating this gap between desire, expectation, and feeling hopeless, or feeling like you're not good enough because you didn't get exactly what you wanted when you thought that you needed it. It's a growth process. It comes in incremental steps. If I'm somebody who has a really bad mentality about career, and then all of a sudden I want to become the VP of some company when I haven't even done administrative work, that's a big jump. That's a big expectation that you're trying to fill. It's like this gap that you're trying to fill. And not saying that it's impossible. But in order to get there, you're going to need to convince your subconscious and finesse it in a way that makes sense to your feeling state, your body. And again, energy does not lie. It's just not. So anything is possible. You can be, do, or have anything. These are the practical things that you can do in order to get yourself there. Because again, it's just an energetic game. That's all it is. It's a vibration game. So what are the thoughts that are going to make me feel good right here, right now, in this moment about my current circumstances regarding this? That's what you want to work on. That's what you're going to start off on. And even if it's an affirmation like, I am where I am, and that's okay. I can work on this. I can choose different thoughts right now. And with this free will, I'm going to entertain that there is a version of me that has this. And this version of me, let's play pretend, let's take a stroll. Let's take a journey, okay? A metaphorical journey. The version of me that is behaving like this thinks X, Y, and Z, and feels this way about X, Y, and Z. Guys, this is just like, when I read this, I was like, James, you did it. It's one of the best summaries as to what Abraham Hicks has been talking about for a very long time. Because when you desire something really, really strongly and you believe that you really, really, really will not have it, it creates this discomfort that is unexplainable. There's no words for it. It's like so uncomfortable in your body. But then let's say you emotionally tell yourself a new story that makes you feel 1% better, just 1% better. You're on the path. You're on the path to getting that, whatever that thing is. Because again, your emotions do not dictate, they indicate. They are reflections. It's kind of like, it's a stoplight. The examples that I think of are funny. But think of a stoplight. Stoplights indicate, they tell you what to do. They tell you like where you're going, like you need to stop, you need to slow down, you need to go. But that does not dictate what you actually do. You can run a red light, you can stop at a green light, you can be texting on your phone and not go towards green. So all of this stuff is an indicator. Your emotions are an indicator as to where you are going. That it's the path that you are taking to your manifestation. So it's not about suppressing your emotions. It is not about ignoring your circumstances. You ignoring your circumstances is going to be a natural byproduct of you giving yourself the self-concept and equipping yourself with the affirmations that you need in order to feel good about the situation. That's what happens. When you think that you are amazing, that you are prioritized, that you are the main character, that everything is working out for you, that your life is rigged in your favor, that things are just happening easily and effortlessly, then you won't even notice the ghosting. You won't even notice the lack of anything because you are so focused on how amazing you are. Okay? It's a filter. I got to book coaching with you. Would 30 minutes be good? Yes. I do want to note though that the less time that it has, like the more we're cut to the chase. Like some people I recognize do really want to talk about their situation, which is fine because, well, one, I don't have fear about them talking about their situation. Like, just talk about it once, get it over with, and then we move forward and we go into the new version of ourselves and we address things. But with 30 minutes, we're getting straight to it. We're getting straight to it. What do you want? What do you desire? What is that version thinking, feeling, and acting? And if we have doubts about that, then why are we not? So then we just like unravel the beliefs that don't make sense. So like during those consultations, I'm usually talking to you in a way to help you realize why a belief doesn't serve you anymore, and like exposing, kind of like shedding light as to why that doesn't even make sense. So when people come to me and they're like, I want to manifest a specific person, but they're treating me like doo-doo. We had a lovely relationship before, and then I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. You just said that you had a lovely relationship. So what changed? And then they're like, oh, well, then I saw that they did this, and then I started assuming that, and I'm like, okay, but if you started assuming what you were first assuming when you first met them, then you would be able to go back to that version. You would be able to shift into a state where that version of them is not existing. So it's, yeah, that's usually what I do when I'm talking to you guys. I help you understand why a belief doesn't make sense, and it's usually going to be a belief that doesn't serve you. Athena369.com if you would like a third party view, but it's not necessary because I'm giving you, if we've been on live over an hour now, I'm giving you all the answers in this video. So yeah. Oh, and here's another thing that I highlighted here in this book, and then I'll stop. This is the wisdom behind Seneca's famous quote, being poor is not having too little, it is wanting more. Which leads me to the quote by Abraham Hicks. Satisfied in your now and eager for more. Not longing, not feeling this ache to have more. Being satisfied in the moment and eager for more. Pleasantly like a child during Christmas Eve. Being satisfied and eager for more. Eager about what's about to come. That's the best formula. And you can use it with affirmations, finding affirmations. Why do you think that so many meditations are out there right now? And so many different subliminals? It's because not everything resonates with people. It's just, people are in different vibrational states. So if I were to go on a subliminal right now, and the subliminal is like, I am a billionaire, I'm not going to resonate with that. I'm being honest, I'm not going to resonate with that subliminal. But if I listen to a subliminal that's like, everything is working out for my good, I can be, do I have anything, I am where I am who I am, and that is enough. I am capable, it is possible for me to experience the life that I want. Everything that I want to experience, I can evoke that feeling within me now. I am choosing to perceive myself in a way that shows me that I am capable of receiving whatever it is that I'm wanting to receive. There's a way that if you hack language, you hack your reality. That's all there is to it. So I hope that you guys have had as much fun watching as I've had creating and talking to you guys. I love talking to you guys and hearing all the things that you guys have to say. It's really exciting. Oh, I did want to read this out loud. I spoke out loud last night as though I already have my manifestations. The challenge is consistently knowing and expecting it to come in these. These are the same manifestations from 6 months ago. Okay. This is good. I feel like other people have this question too. When you use your imagination, so here's the biggest thing. If I were to tell you right now that what's happening in your imagination is real, then you would be a lot more particular. You would be a lot more picky, even snobbish, if you will, about what thoughts you choose to entertain. If I tell you that the thoughts, that the imagination, the imaginal acts that you are experiencing in your mind, the inner conversations, the things that you are telling yourself are going to come to pass, then you would have a different perspective. Yes, it is a big cat. Hey, listen, she's not missing any meals. Stop playing. I love her so much. Anyway, okay. So with that perspective, some people actually don't believe that their imagination is God. I said all that because, yeah, people aren't really, they're like discrediting it. Like they imagine something, it manifests for them, and then they're like, oh yeah, but that would have happened anyway. Like that just happened so naturally, so whatever. It would have happened anyway. This is what Neville Goddard talks about. He says that it's going to happen this way. It is going to be so natural. The way that it comes about, it's going to be like very like obvious for you. Like, of course I'm going to go to Starbucks and get a coffee. Like, why is that such a big deal? It's going to be like that because you have revisited it in your imagination over and over and over again. So I want to start there. Your imagination is God. There's not something that has ever manifested on this earth that has not been thought of first. Facts, okay? Facts. You have to think it, and then you have to act on it. So, with that being said, if you are imagining something, that is the only proof you need. Right before I retire to sleep and I use my imagination, I'm not imagining to bring something into my reality. I'm imagining because that is my reality. Very big difference. Very big difference. When I imagine, I'm not imagining because I want to see something happen in my reality. I'm imagining because it is happening now, and that is the only proof that I need. That's the only proof that I need. That feeling, that imagination, that visual, that is all that I need. And then, through imagining for the sake of imagining and feeling it to be real and natural for myself, I don't need to worry throughout the rest of my day. I don't have to check in on myself. I don't need to figure out what actions I need to take. I don't need to do any of it, because the moment that I imagine it and know that this is for me, then absolutely every single thing that pops into my life, every opportunity, every action I take is naturally leading me to what I imagined. I'm not doing it to get somewhere because I am already there. You are in Barbados. Why do I see that other people are reflecting my affirmations, but SP is not? As in, there is no movement. What could be the reason? That is movement. So you're saying the affirmations and people are reflecting you, meaning that it is moving. So if that wasn't happening before and then now you see people doing it, then that means that there is movement. All I would say to that is don't take score too soon. Again, fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the process, guys. Because at the end of the day, look, okay. Reason with me here. Manifesting is very simple to do. I think that what is important, especially for this channel, what I really want to focus on is how to sustain it. Because it's easy to call someone in. It's easy to get the thing, but sustaining it and remaining in that knowing is what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. So if you are shifting realities and you're shifting states, you have to be aware of what's actually happening. You are creating movement. There's actually, the only constant is change. So you are doing it. You're not making any mistakes. You're doing perfectly well. Remain poised. Remain in the knowing that things are constantly changing. The only reason why you are noticing that is because you're focused on a different perspective. So the perspective that I would like for you to take on is that there is movement happening for you, and you can see that right now. So just for this moment, suspend your disbelief about the specific person and just keep focusing in on that feeling and the self-concept affirmations. Also, there are certain people, certain roles that we assign to people, and we may unknowingly be assigning this role to someone that they are the exception, which they're not. There's actually no unique circumstance that I've ever come across in my years of living where I was like, oh my gosh, this circumstance cannot be overcome. Ever. With all the clients that I've talked to, with every comment that I've read, there has not been one circumstance where I was like, yeah, that's actually something I don't think God can handle that. That's above the law. It's above the law. I think that is, you can't repair that. Never once. So I hope you know that there's no circumstance, there's no situation that is above the law of assumption, just like there's no circumstance that's like, it's God. It's God. When we look at even gravity, or like, yes, you can manipulate gravity, so that wouldn't be a really good example. But going back to God and the creator of universes, yeah, asking for you to see a different version of someone and being able to see the perfection. Okay, here's a good affirmation. If you're having trouble like with forgiveness, or you're wanting to change the way that you see someone, you can converse with your higher self, source, God. I say God, you guys know that by now, but I would ask God to allow me to see people the way that God sees them. And that will transform. That will transform a lot of things in your life. If you see the perfection that God sees in everyone else surrounding you, even your environment, that will help a lot. Also, I'll be traveling this next week, and I have so many ideas of videos that I want to make. But then I'm like, where's the time? A limiting belief is just popping up. I'm like, where do I find the time? So just bear with me. I've had a routine of posting around 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, but it might be a little bit later on. It might not be, but I'm just saying just to be on the lookout for it. But I will still be posting. I hope that helps. Ishi. Because yeah, you're doing well. You are creating movement. Willow on a pillow. Yes. Which is, guys, when I tell you that she does sleep on that pillow, but like not like she's usually like under the bed or she's in the closet. She's not on the pillow. She usually just chooses these lives to be on the pillow and she stays here. I'm curious, do you think my situation with my SP can be resolved? Yes. R, stop playing. You already know. I see SP almost every day and I don't know what else to do. I'm trying here, really. LOL. And that's good enough. You trying is good enough. The most disadvantageous thing that you could do for yourself. Oh, I'm in low power mode. Something that is important to take note of is that the more that you beat yourself up, the more you are creating this illusion of disconnection. Or I know that you are playing. So, okay. You already know. If you are trying, right? You're like, I'm trying. Lord, I'm trying here. Then that I would recommend taking a step back. I really would, because it isn't a trying process. From what we do know, you don't force things. I've never manifested something, specific people in particular. I've never manifested specific people from forcing them to like me. I'm trying to get them. I'm gonna get them. Okay, it's getting later on in the live and I'm acting a little goofy now. But you get the point. I've never been like, hither, I need you. I've always, in my experience, in my personal humble opinion, have always been able to attract exactly what I want from just getting on with my life and creating a routine for myself that is in alignment with my passion. And when I'm passionate, then I create passionate experiences that include specific people. So you don't need to try. Again, I said this earlier in the live, an hour ago. Gosh, I've been on here for a while. But yeah, I said it a while back that your affirmations, so like if you're like, I don't know what else to do, I'm exhausted, then like, don't do it. That is momentum. That is a state of being. Like, I'm identifying as tired, I'm identifying as exhausted, I'm identifying as somebody that needs to work really hard. That is an identification. That is a state of being that you are residing in. So this is why I say, like, it's not advantageous of you to beat yourself up. It's not helping, it's not resolving anything for you to be in this zone where you're like, I need to figure it out. I need to have it all figured out and I can only do this by myself. I'm also like not okay without this manifestation. Like, I'm done for because I can't get this. It's like that stuff doesn't help. That stuff doesn't help. What does help is being like, you know what? I'm doing my best. I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing the best. All I can do right now is just enjoy my life, enjoy the process. Did you guys hear her? All I can do is enjoy the process and just control what I can control. I can't control this person. I can only control myself. So that's what I'm gonna do. I gotta focus on me, Lucius. Okay. Yeah, okay, so Hyber, I'm not forceful. I just wonder sometimes if it's worth it. Okay. This is a good comment. This is a good comment. Oftentimes, especially with the people that I help with manifesting, okay, their self-concept will skyrocket to a point where they no longer really care for their person. And this happened to me. Okay, this happened to me multiple times where I was like, oh, I think I really want this. I'm going to align with it. And then I got it and I was like, I want something else. This is a very common scenario, which is perfectly fine. You don't even have to explain yourself as to why or why not you want something. So in this instance where like, I don't know if this is something that I want, this is why in my course, I have a course for this. I specifically address this. There's like a whole video dedicated to this. Focus in on what you want, because oftentimes we are very caught up in the circumstances and we're trying to change things that we don't even like. You don't want to juggle that. You don't want to control that. That is too much for your conscious mind for you to be worried about or focused on. So if you're like, oh, maybe I don't know if it's worth it, whatever, create the list of your ideal person. That is your only job. Create the ideal version of who you want to interact with and how that relationship behaves. When you buckle down on what you want, which by the way, when you have self-concept that is like, I prioritize myself, I'm the main character, this is like, I'm the one and only consciousness, like I deserve the treatment that I am worthy of, I'm respecting myself first, I'm understanding my value, I'm putting myself first. When you align with that self-concept, then you will be led naturally to create a list that is focused on what you want and disregard all the rest. So a lot of times, especially when manifesting specific people back, I would create a list that is what I want, disregarding circumstances. Like completely, I don't even think about them anymore. So I just go, this is my list. This is my list. Hi, Melissa. What's up, girl? How you doing? So I will make a list and I will just put down what I like, what feels good to me. Okay, this is my reality. This is what I want. Okay, I don't care if people haven't experienced it in their reality. This is what I'm working with. This is what I see myself doing. And then coincidentally, those people, the people that I wasn't even thinking about, because again, they are effects, they're not causes. I became very clear about what I wanted, and then those people just so happened to conform to that list. It's crazy. Like, even if the list is a physical trait, like, oh, I want my man to have long Tarzan hair. The SP will come back with long hair, y'all. Like, stop. Like, stop. This is how it works. You have to disregard the circumstances. Disregard the circumstances. Create what you want. What you want. Not what anybody else wants. Not what you think, like, oh, well, you know, I've experienced this in the past, so like, this is what I think should happen. Ideal. We're stepping into the ideal. So then you create that list. And then, you know, just like whoever is willing to become that, then they just flow in to your experience. It's just how it works. Okay, I made an ideal partner list years ago and my SP has ticked some of it. Nice. Nice. Yeah, and usually like, okay, let me tell you guys a story. Because I had manifested my dream job. I was working in oncology systems, which for those of you guys who don't know, it's the study of tumors and basically cancer. So anybody that was diagnosed with cancer, we created the machines that cured them. So there's chemotherapy, radiation therapy. I worked on radiation therapy. If you've ever seen those big machines that people go under, that's the company that I was working for. So we created that, and I worked a lot with doctors. And during this time, before, when I was interviewing with them, I was like, oh, this is great. This is a great opportunity. I was super pumped. I was like, whoa, I'm so excited. I know that I'm getting this job. Like, this is my dream job. And I interned with them back in college. So when I joined that job, and during my interview, I was like, is there an opportunity to work remotely? They said no. I said, bet. So then I went into my imagination. I imagined myself working at home on my laptop that they provided me with. And then that was in January of 2020. You guys know what happened in March of 2020, a collective experience. And then I was working remotely. Just like that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be working remotely. So let's just skip to the end of me working remotely. I did that in my imagination, and then it came to pass. Now, am I going to sit here and be like, I caused the pandemic? No. But through a series of circumstances, there's going to be like, you just choose what you want, you choose what you want to experience, and then through a series of circumstances, things happen and it will lead you to your manifestation. Now, here's another thing. Why, like, how crazy of an experience is that in order for me to get what I want? This is why I say, I feel like I'm a broken record when I say, like, things will happen in a way that you cannot understand. Things are going to unfold and it's going to be beyond your understanding. It is not for you to control the how. It's just not. The only thing that you can control is what you want and how it makes you feel. That's it. That's it. And then you allow your experiences to unfold because you don't know. You don't know how it's going to happen. But when it does happen, it happens perfectly and it happens the way that it was meant to happen. Is reacting to the 3D only internal or a mix of external behaviors and internal? The prime time talk. I like that name. It is both. That's a very good question. So going back to the question, I had to scroll up. When you are, so what I've noticed is that everything is within, right? So the only thing that you need to change is self. If you have created a self-concept for yourself that is what you prefer, this is what you feel is your truth, and you've aligned to that boundary, to that, this is the reality that I'm working in, then usually you will experience things that lead you to whatever it is, like whatever the outcome that you're wanting to receive is, then that's what will happen. But it's not so much about reacting. I want to be careful when answering this question. Reacting is, you know what? I looked this up the other day on Google. I don't know where my laptop is, but reacting is different than responding. Reacting is out of control, whereas responding is controlled. It's a controlled emotional response. So I always like, especially when you work on your self-concept, when you become the observer of your thoughts, when you start practicing this art form, the art of allowing, the art of getting out of your own way and just experiencing the abundant life that is your birthright, when you become attuned to this, then you typically will have these responses, right? Responses, they will be natural responses. It's like you've observed many different thoughts. Or okay, let's put it here. Back to the dream catcher situation. If your mind is a dream catcher and you're trying to catch every single thought and like anxiously, sporadically catch all your thoughts, that's reacting. That's reacting. But if you're observing your thoughts and you're seeing them pass by, you're recognizing them, you're acknowledging them, but you're not putting emotion, which is energy in motion, towards those thoughts, then you are giving yourself a chance to respond. It's about creating space in between. I really feel like becoming a conscious creator is like allowing yourself to recognize what is real and what's not real. Because when we look at this space, like this energy that's being created, and there is, to anyone who's ever meditated, if you guys like to meditate, let me know in the comments. But when you become more practiced at meditation, you start seeing reality as not a reactive thing. Like you start seeing that everything is flowing through you and you can respond. So going back to your question, it's okay to respond to 3 circumstances and make the adjustments that you need to. And typically by the time that you've created a different self-concept for yourself that is alignment to what you want to experience, you're going to be so filtered in that reality that all you do is respond. Like there's no more reacting to things because it just doesn't trigger you as much. So going back, you would have to create a self-concept that you enjoy. So have fun with this new version of yourself. How to change the way you think SP thinks of you. You can't really change anyone. Again, the times that I've manifested change from someone, I've never wanted to actually change them. I've just wanted to change how I see them in my mind. So they could very well be the same person, but the way that I'm viewing them now is completely different. Therefore, I'm living in a different reality and I'm getting different treatment. That's the key, is being able to change how you feel. It's always going to be about you. So I wouldn't focus on the creation. I would start focusing on the creator, which is you, and start creating a reality for yourself that says, you can even go general. You can state an affirmation like, anyone who enters my life is consistent. You can filter into a reality like that. Anyone who enters into my life treats me like gold. Everything that I touch turns to gold. I only interact with people that honor me, respect me, love me, cherish me. And then you will filter a reality of people. Like now we've got an umbrella affirmation that is covering everyone, including your SP. Absolutely no one can come and enter into your life that does not meet that criteria. Sometimes I listen to what SP is saying and seeing where I'm at. I just want to not be hyper focused. I want to turn around and be like, oh yeah, here we are together, currently 3D, it's friends. Here we are together. Okay, so this is friends turning into lovers. We love to see it. Yeah, I think balance would be good for this situation, because especially when it's like constantly in your face. It's not like you guys are not no contact or anything like that, which, let me back up, because I don't like, when it comes to no contact and understanding energy, you're never really out of contact. I know this to be true even when I was studying abroad and living in Europe. I was still like, I would think about this person and then they would contact me. It was like very weird. So it doesn't matter about distance, time, space, all that stuff. It's like no contact to me means really honing in on your self-concept and what you are allowing into your life, because at the end of the day, they can still energetically feel your presence, even if you are no contact. So I just want to say that there. I know that that has nothing to do with the question, but maybe somebody needed to hear that. So in the 3D, if you guys are friends and you're wanting something more, then a way to not become hyper-focused would be, you know, becoming focused on your self-concept and then your routine, stabilizing yourself, becoming grounded in yourself. Try to think of something else. I mean, you could have inner conversations with this person from now on and just become aware of the inner conversations that you're having. So like when you talk to them and you're like, hey, I really like you, what do they say back? That's going to show you where your mind is at, and just tweak it. So now that you have this ability to observe and you are aware of it, then you can now choose what they say back to you and then create a new dialogue between you and that specific person. And if it feels obsessive, then that means that there is a gap, just like we were talking about. There's a gap of expectation and desire that we need to fill. So become satisfied. Like the greatest lovers have the best relationships as friends. Like they like each other. They actually like being around each other, which is nice, okay? And then just start telling yourself like things that are in alignment with what you're wanting to experience, so that you don't feel impatient about things or that you don't become too obsessed. Because again, like I did that whole video on the same situation, how we were friends first and then, you know, we ended up, yay, catching a lad, how we were friends first and then we progressed, which I didn't even think was going to happen, but then it did. Who manifested who, I don't know. Okay. And she just sleeps too. Like, gosh, it's great to be a cat. Okay. Oh, let's see. You can also take one memory you have of them and expand on that memory with imagined conversations that would help you believe SP likes you. Yeah, that's the thing. Each person is case by case, so it's what is making you enter into the state? What is allowing you to feel release? I've done meditations where the person is coming towards me and they're showering me with love. Like I can feel that and I know that, and I just like, I'm like, that's it right there. I only had to do that once. But then there's other times where there's a situation where I'm honest. I can take an honest self-evaluation of how that experience makes me feel, and them trying to hug up on me does not, don't touch me. So you have to know where it's like self-awareness is key. So like maybe a meditation like that is not going to help me, but maybe a meditation like I'm the best, I deserve to be prioritized, I'm the prize. A meditation like that is going to like help me so much. So it is about being self-aware and creating language for yourself that is going to allow that resistance to pass. Hi Mark, thank you so much for your comment. Oh, okay, yeah. So let's talk about telepathy, because that's real. And it goes in, I mean, I just touched on it with the example of no contact. But I think what is important here is that, okay, I want you to think of like relationship coaches when they, well, like regular relationship coaches. Okay, so not people that like are really into quantum physics and stuff like that. When they talk about relationships, the most common advice that I get, like when when you and an ex break up and all that stuff, they usually say to move on and become really busy with your life and focusing on yourself, and then they'll come back. Like they always come back when you least expect it. That's like across the board. And I would know this. Why would I know this? Because I had gone through a very, very sad breakup. And I get it. It not only mentally hurts, but it physically, like you physically ache. Your heart is like, it feels broken. Okay, I get it. So I was searching up all this stuff on YouTube. I was like, how do I feel better about myself? And that's what led me to relationship coaches that weren't based in metaphysical teachings. And it was across the board. All of them were saying the same things. If you want to attract an ex back, you need to become focused on yourself. You need to become focused on yourself. And then I realized after manifesting and getting everything that I want that usually we are in a state, okay, so we desire things based off of the state that we're currently residing in. So because I was a sad girl, and I didn't want to feel sad anymore, I was seeking out solutions that made me feel better. And that made me feel like I'm going to manifest my ex back. And I'm going to feel really good about myself when this person comes back. Now, ironically, all of that advice was leading me just to become a better version of myself. All of the advice across the board was just like, focus on yourself. And they're telling you this. They're telling you this because they know, even if it's subconscious, that when you become the version of yourself that you actually like I would date myself. Like I think I'm good enough. I think that I am I think I'm ready to eat for everyone. Like I think everyone would like me. When you get to that self-concept, okay? When you become that type of person, then the person naturally comes back because they can smell it, they can feel it, that energy, it's undeniable. Same thing with going to no contact. A lot of relationship people, they say, again, the regular ones, the relationship coaches, they'll be like, go no contact, do this, da, 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 da. They say go no contact because it allows you to remove yourself from the 3D circumstance. That's why. Now, can you check up on your person? Can your home base be their social media? Yes, it could be, in theory, if you wanted to. But practically, when you're going about this, you want to remove any circumstances that are giving you evidence of what your reality is. When you decide that, hey, I'm going to make a change and I want to change my reality into this one, then naturally you will want to exclude any circumstance that is not in alignment with that particular outcome. A very simple example for me, when I was losing all the weight, I had lost like over 40 pounds, right? And I've been able to maintain that for, I think this is my 4th or 5th year, remaining in the same weight that I'm at. And I feel like my relationship with food is good. When I came to this new version of myself, I got rid of the scale. Because why do I need a scale to tell me if I'm a good person, if I'm good enough or not? Like I was putting too much validation on an external circumstance to measure literally measure, and then metaphorically measure my worthiness. So I would get really excited if the scale told me something that I liked, and then I would feel really low if the scale didn't show me what I wanted to see. So I just said, okay, I'm going to remove it. I don't actually need the scale to validate me and like my worthiness and stuff. Coincidentally, that was the reason why I was able to lose weight and actually keep the weight off, because I stopped letting the circumstance affect my emotional state. It is all about the emotional state. It's emotions versus thoughts. A strong emotion versus 50,000 affirmations of repetition, emotion's going to win every single time. It's just our emotions are driving us to do every single thing in life. And I don't even know if I answered the question. Oh, let's talk about telepathy and no contact. So, going back to no contact. If you are, so it's all about energy. If we are saying, like, you can create a scenario where you are completely immersed in a circumstance, but you won't want to do that. You won't want to do that. And so what no contact does for you is it allows you to remove the circumstance. However, the law of thought transmission is so real. If I were to tell you right now that the thoughts that you are telling them and that you are giving them right now, they can feel, you would be a lot more observant. You'd be like, you know what? I actually don't want that metaphorical text to send out to them. Instead, since I said I am love, since I want to be the example, I want to lead by example, I'm going to bless them. Because that's what love is. I'm going to be kind, gentle, patient. I'm going to have poise towards the situation, and I'm going to want the best for them. I want them to be happy. I want them to experience the love that I'm feeling. They come back. They just flock. They flock to you. Okay. It's been 14 months since my breakup and with SP, and total no contact since then, and I still feel her on every cell of my body, but I've also been doing manifesting techniques, which keeps her in my awareness. What techniques are you doing? If it's something like a breakup, I would focus on self-concept. I would focus on yourself in a way that is not trying to get the person back, but really just try to feel better about your life, just for the sake of wanting to feel better. I would start there. So what would be a good way to telepathically communicate with money so I can get more? Ooh, this is a good question. I've actually been working on this. I've been working on this because I want to assume better things about money. And one thing that I have learned is that everything in our experience, right? We know this to be true. Everything that is in our experience is reflecting how we assume things are going to play out. And it's in relationship to not just one thing. Well, one thing, of course, but like all things, right? So the way that we feel about relationships, we can feel differently about when it comes to money, and we can feel differently about when it comes to career. We can feel different about these different topics. However, what I've noticed is that a really good way to become good with a particular topic is to soothe yourself in that area and then start with that and then like create the momentum. So there's a couple of things that I've learned across the way and have just taken note of. Like, when I receive money, I am feeling this way, or even I am doing this. You can see money as a friend. You can see it as something that is connected to you, which it is. God is money. So, of course, I can have money. Because if God is money and God lives in me, then that means money is also me. Because money represents freedom and security. And those are feelings that I can access now. It also represents opportunity and abundance. And I can feel that right now in whatever capacity. Like, it doesn't have to be specifically focused on money. It could be focused on just those feelings alone. And then you can attract. It's very fun. So focus in on the feeling state that, or like, what does money symbolize to you, because that's unique. That's going to be like a specific thing for you. You're going to look at what money it represents to you symbolically, and then focus on that emotion. And then you could even do something like, isn't it wonderful? And you can evoke that feeling state within yourself and start seeing money as an ally rather than something that's evil or something that you can abuse and manipulate, control. You can start saying things like, I love receiving money because I'm so good at managing it.